Back live in Jacksonville, and Philip Boy got hit hard, 12.866. So now we have our first big, compelling competition story. On Jake Dalton's resume is a lot of floor exercise success, a lot of vaulting success, but nothing in an event like this in an all-around sense. And here he is.
I guarantee you he has never felt the emotions he's feeling right now before.
It's a huge leap, isn't it, to go from being a leader to a winner?
Here's a critical part, and he deals. Once again, this is a routine that's not going to have a huge start value, but so far, he has been, well, he's staying on the horse. Oh, no. Oh, that's bad. They could, you know, it's going to come down to how the panel evaluates that. He gets a congratulations from Kevin Majika, Tom Meadows, and of course John, but when you stop your upward motion, if you come back down, it can be a full point deduction, and they can take away the skill. You see the feet come back down. This is, well, it's going to be very interesting to see what the judges do on that, but I would say that that is going to not be good.
Tim, I swear that's not a pommel horse. It's a devil with handles.
Big competition. Definitely jumped up like you were comfortable.
Once again, it's all about balance. I tell my kids all the time, they're coming around on that disc. The shoulders have to be in front of the hands on that, and his were not. So his upward momentum is
It'll be like last step, right?
Last step in the first group.
I got the sense talking to him yesterday that he wasn't at all nervous about being on stage with all these guys. He actually was really looking forward to this competition and having the opportunity to compete with the best in the world. He survived the routine. It wasn't pretty at the end, but he got through the exercise.
He had a pretty nice cushion after the first rotation.
He did, yes. Of course, with Philip Boy having a 12.866. You know, he's going to be fine in that regard, but
12.033.
Yeah, just as I suggested, they did exactly what I thought they would do. You see the execution score, they took off almost a full 2 points, and his difficulty isn't that high as well.
It's going to drop him down, and got a few more to go here.
And I like this kid a lot. He's got a great body for gymnastics, very light. Swings nice and extended. He could be your leader at the end of this round. He has enough difficulty on pommel horse. Just see if he can somehow stay on, and so far, so good. But I said that about Jake Dalton too. Very strong routine.
He's loving it.
Such a nice kid. I'll tell you, we had a chance to talk with him quite a bit. He actually was asking for some advice. In Ukraine now, they have no resources. They have no medical care. They have no help, no money. You know, they finish out of the medals, and there's nothing for them. And he's actually been dealing with a hurt knee, and didn't have the faintest idea what to do. So,
you know, it's one thing if you have all the facilities and you have what USA Gymnastics, for example, has, and you're able to stay with it, but the personal strength to stick with it when you don't feel you have any support, I almost...
Well, you know what it comes down to, I think? He's coached by his dad, and so they are so invested together. And if you look back, remember the women's team? You got Nastia Lukin, you had Chelsea Memel, you have all of these people that are so invested as a team, as a unit, and that's what pulls this kid through.
Well, and he's the best in his country, but sadly, as a team, they were 13th at the World Championships, and of course, if you're 13th, you're not going to make it to the Olympic Games. And right now, in their country, there are only about 10 athletes on the national team that are vying for a spot on an Olympic team, if they even make it as a team. Not many, not much depth.
Just a truckload of adversity, that's for sure.
It's his dad right there, and coach. Gotta say dad first, right?
He's very proud of him.
And a real kick it's got to be to make a trip like this to the United States into Jacksonville. On we go to Samuel Hunter of Great Britain and Kokenkov, 14.866.
It's a good number. It's a good number. That puts him in the lead at this point. A little bit too slow in the connection there.
Sam did say he was trying some new skills on pommels. He says, when else can I try? You have to sneak them in at some point.
Very nice one pommel work. This has been the dreaded traveling Russian. And, oh,
sloppy and just slowing down.
Wow. I lost count of all the deductions there. Okay, so there's a questionable dismount, just like Jake Dalton. I don't think that he actually changed direction, but this is also going to be a low score on the pommel horse right here.
You know, sometimes I don't see the deductions that you two bring up, but that one, even to the untrained eye, you can tell there were major problems.
Yep. It's all about balance, I'll tell you. And, Daniel Purvis came off on the Russian. Looks like we're got a inquiry. The coordinator. USA Gymnastics doesn't agree with a score, probably the start score, the difficulty level, and if they think he was either Jake Dalton or Jonathan had a 1/10 of a point or too little, then they would file an inquiry. But it almost looks like he's rethinking it.
Well, in this world, you have to battle for every 10th. Here's Koji Umatsu, and this will wrap up the men's pommel horse.
Death by pommel horse.
Tim mentioned how.
So yeah, they're looking at his sheet, and I've got the exact same sheet in front of me right here. And the routine that he was supposed to perform should have had a 15.0, but you see he's got something. Pommel horse, the top right-hand side is what they're looking at, and he left something out. They're just going over it element by element to make sure that they're on the same page.
So Tim, again, the start value for him was a 15, meaning if he had done it perfectly, that's what he would get.
If he had done it perfectly, and if he had done what he had planned to do, but he did do some modifications to it. Here's that tricky skill. Just about everybody has come off on that.
It's all looking a little bit labored.
Yeah, you see his body. It's not what we call square. It's called skewed, and every circle that is skewed, not straightforward, they can take a deduction. And that'll be a deduction as well. He was supposed to do an extra pirouette spin once he got to the handstand. That dismount is not hard enough, so he'll lose a 1/10 of a point for doing not hard enough and 2/10 of a point for not having a D dismount.
Team USA still crunches the numbers. Samuel Hunter of Great Britain got a 13.733. The women enter the arena here in Jacksonville, Florida. The men leave deduction central. Well, Jake Dalton had a arithmetic disaster on the pommel horse, falling from the lead to last, and he trails by 1.9. They're trying, I think, at the last moment to get his start value changed a little bit, but that was not good. But meanwhile, Mykola Kuksinkov from Ukraine, we talked about all the adversity and no support. He's in the United States and leading the American Cup.
Well, it's definitely going first.
And Jonathan Horton is in third place, so he has to be feeling okay.
Oh yeah, he's fine because he has his strongest events coming up. And yeah, very disappointing for Jake Dalton. He was merely not even a second away from still being in the hunt, and that fall, yikes.
Elfie, if I don't let you start talking first about Ariella Kesselin of Switzerland, I'm not doing my job.
The Swiss Miss, great athlete. She calls herself a young woman of the sport, and very proud to be. She's had great success, especially on this first event of hers, the vault. She was 4th in the world last year's World Championships, but has won a silver medal at the 2009 World Championships. Very powerful athlete.
I want you to listen to the sound the board makes when she hits it. It's all about creating force on that board. Wow. Like a cannon. And that's why she's able to do the vault that she did right there. A little bit piked in the air, though, I have to say. Her body is supposed to remain completely stretched throughout.
Men are on the still rings. First up, Jonathan Horton of the United States. Third coming in.
And where he is not built for pommel horse, check out those biceps. They help a lot here. Very difficult first sequence. Got to be perfectly level. He is.
Tim, seriously, just mounting the rings is difficult.
Where this routine is going to get a little tricky is towards the end, because he hasn't had the time to get in all the numbers of sets, but so far he's doing great.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks of training, of actual routine training. Not typically enough for an event like this.
You know, he paused a little bit. I don't think he's going to get a deduction for that. His routine construction, big dismount. That was a big set. That was a big set, and that will, without a doubt, close the gap a little bit.
On vault, Horton going for the three-peat. Back to the vault, Kesselin got a 14.8. This is Hannah Whelan of Great Britain.
Now on vault for Great Britain,
Hannah is the newly crowned British national champion. Excuse me, English national champion.
Great landing. The score for this is going to be very, very low, because she is doing, I would venture to guess, the easiest vault by far in this competition. I think that starts at a maximum of 15.0. We have gymnasts.
Well, you made it harder by being like,
are attempting vaults.
In the middle of the set, I kept saying, I got it.
15.8 even, believe it or not, 16.5 range.
Some sort of a delay with the judges.
Do a near perfectly flat handstand.
Once again, it's unbelievable. Daniel Purvis gets another long wait on the podium.
Makes me so mad. I'm up there.
This is what happened the last time Jonathan Horton went. In a moment, we'll see Alexandra Raisman of the United States and Jonathan Horton. 15.5, big time stuff.
See how he recovers. He unquestionably would have felt that he would be leading after the first two events, because they are great events for him. And frankly, if he had done what he was capable of, I think he would have been leading. Does not have the same level of difficulty as John, purely because he doesn't have the same level of strength. So
But what he's trying to capitalize on are the look of his gymnastics, the clean lines, not giving away deductions in the execution.
I just wonder if there's any way to create even a small percentage of the pressure that the British gymnasts are going to feel next summer. Whelan got a 13.633. It's our first look at Needham, Massachusetts' Alexandra Raisman.
She's actually second here last year. Rebecca Ross had an unbelievable first year. Showed you a double twisting Yurchenko. Nice job. Once again, much more difficult than we saw from Whelan.
Alfie, I like the way she starts with that little hop in her step.
Yeah, she has her own little style, very powerful gymnast. And you know, for Ali, she's actually capable of doing a much more difficult vault, a vault that we may potentially see from Mustafina. But this was executed very well. 2 twists, looking for the landing. Again, just that's the adjustment you have to make, trying to stick those landings.
Of course, she comes from the same gym and is training partners with the best vaulter presently in the world, Alicia Sacramone.
Philip Boy, after having his problems on the pommel horse. You notice they can't get that thing out of the room fast enough. I mean, that event is done, and the pads are up in about 2 seconds, and it is out of the building, probably.
Now on ring for Germany.
It's gone.
He is very upset. He is very upset with himself. Right off the top of his routine, falling.
Yeah, he came to this American Cup in great shape. He said he was so excited for the invitation. Doesn't matter if it's early in the year, because typically we hear that from all the European athletes. This competition is way too early. I'm not ready. He said, oh, no. He was excited.
Now, once again, like Purvis, he does not have the same level of upper body strength that Jonathan Horton does. All of the skills he's doing are a little bit easier. They don't get the same amount of bonus points.
But all the while, he's trying to remain very artistic, very clean.
Once again, that pause. Yeah, you might get a judge that would take a 10th, but I don't think so. Beautiful dismount, double pike forwards, blind landing. That's about as good as he can do. So he's going to be happy with that.
Let's do some cleaning up here. Purvis got a 14.433, so okay. And Raisman got a 14.866 on the vault.
Yeah, that's a little tighter than I thought it would be for Ali.
This is Jessica Lopez from Venezuela.
Her 4th consecutive American Cup, 25 years old.
Had the best year of her life, she said last year, finishing 10th in the all-around, a dream come true at the Worlds. And once again, a very weak vault. Pretty much right there. I hate to say this, you know, it's her first piece of gymnastics, but that takes her totally out of the competition. The start value is low, and
the
she
fall
steps
on top of
forward. The knee hit the ground, should be about a point off, and just landing deductions alone. So very unfortunate.
Well, now we'll see if Jake Dalton can put his memory of the pommel horse in the rearview mirror. Philip Boy, nicely done, 14.666.
But remember, Jonathan Horton basically scored a point higher than that on that one event. So if Jake does what he's supposed to do, his maximum score is a 16.1. Once again, not as strong on the still rings as Jonathan, but certainly has a little bit more oomph behind him than we've seen from our British gymnast and the German, Philip Boy. And those last two elements, you're not allowed to show support. You should be swinging through, and he really showed a bit too much support on those. Oh, and a little struggle there. Look at his elbows. You see the shake of the legs. But a very nice dismount. Hop on the landing. I'll tell you what, though, he opened the door again. You know, it's like it was that pommel horse dismount. It could have gone. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
You look at the warm-up of Jordan Weber of the United States. In this format, it's one gymnast at a time. We'll see everybody, and her next.
So we'll give it up for Chelsea Miller, David Durant,
Back here in Jacksonville, Florida, they gave Jake Dalton of the United States a 14.8 on still rings. We go back to the vault runway where Jordan Weber of the United States is about to make her debut, which comes with some controversy. We'll be getting into all of that. It was just a few months after Beijing when at the age of 13 she won the AT&T American Cup.
And she is going to do that super hard vault. Starts at a 16.5. Oh boy.
Right on the line.
That was big. That was big time. Wow.
That's the vault that set most the female apart from all her competitors at the World Championships. 2.5 twist.
So a lot of the gymnasts, the top gymnasts in the world, they're doing a double twist. She adds an extra half turn. It's great form. Very nice landing.
Is that a stick or a hop?
That's not a stick. It's a 1/10 of a point, but
Itty bitty.
But the score will not be itty bitty. It will be
Big.
very big.
Now on ring,
We'll go back to the rings and the leader after the first two rotations. I think this is a story you can wrap your arms around in an instant. You just say this guy is here on a shoestring and he's leading the American Cup on American soil.
He's just so natural. His gymnastics is so natural. Pretty strong too. Not Jonathan Horton strong, but strong. He'll have to show some swing elements. This was very nice. No support on those. Got to keep the rings as still as possible. Little bit of an arch in the handstand. His dismount. A very nice routine once again.
He's just an all-around gymnast.
Yeah, he's getting the job done.
Nikolai Kuksenkov of Ukraine. He will get his numbers shortly. We can tell you that Jordan Weber rocked it 15.833.
So that is higher than what Huang Quifan is planning on doing. Jordan's final score is higher than she can get.
It's so higher than her start value.
Yeah.
Hers is a 15.8. 2 twists.
A little sloppy in the air, a little bit of a flex in the hips, but I would say that she'll probably she'll be close to a point behind Jordan Weber after one event.
I'm not used to seeing the Chinese do something with a lower start value.
No, well, uneven bars. Just wait. She is amazing on that event. But again, she's a solid all-around gymnast, and it's nice to see her do a vault that has some value.
Kuksenkov 14.8. Now back to the still rings and Samuel Hunter of Great Britain.
Great Britain, Samuel Hunter.
and Kuksenkov gets a 14.8.
Which keeps him ahead of Jonathan Horton at this point. By 0.4 of a point. Got to show those. That right there will be a very big deduction. He's trying to do a very difficult element, and he was going to connect it to 2 more high-level skills. Right there, he does the other 2, but without a doubt, I would not give him credit for that. That double forwards flip, he's supposed to be laid out, stretched the entire time, and not show any support, and he didn't do either.
Can you imagine the tabloids 15 months from now breaking down with every photograph and every 10th? And
On ball to score for
it's going to be unbelievable. Shuang of China, 14.733.
So more than a point less than Jordan Weber.
Lauren Mitchell of Australia. Remember what the Australian women had to deal with back in Sydney?
Unbelievable. And you know,
And it didn't go well.
yeah. But you know what? The amazing thing is that team medal that China got was taken away. Australia was 7th, and they would have been in the team final. Peggy Liddick, the coordinator of gymnastics over there, said that that was the biggest single-handed blow for Australian gymnastics. Wow, we are just not seeing the big bombs today. She's capable of more.
Much more. The most successful Australian gymnast.
Just to go back to that, you're talking about the Chinese gymnasts from Sydney who were the wrong age. The medal was taken away. Australia moved up a notch, and that would have changed their ability to perform in the team finals.
Yeah, they would have been on the floor with the greatest teams in the world, and they were not. They were in the stands. So the USA actually got the benefit. They got the bronze medal that they deserved, but Australia left out in the cold.
Koji Umatsu of Japan, second to last for the men on still rings.
Now on the rings for Japan.
We're with you on Universal Sports for a little over 15 minutes by my watch. And then top of the hour, our live coverage continues here from Jacksonville on NBC Sports.
Now he readily admits that he has got to get stronger. He says that that is his biggest weakness. That'll show up in those strength parts, in both the perfection and how they're done and how many he's capable of doing. It starts out with a very easy one, and that's just way too high. He's landed in the cross position, and he was not in a perfect cross. It was way too high. That was nice, though. I like seeing that. I really think that the rules on rings have done an injustice to the event. He does a lot of great swing stuff.
He was 8th at the Worlds.
Good job.
Okay, so one more on still rings, and this will be the final woman to go on the vault, and it's Aliyah Mustafa of Russia, the world champion. And as Tim mentioned earlier in our pregame show, so to speak, she's a lot to handle.
Yes, she is. And actually, her coach told me, Alexandra, that she was not going to do her signature vault. She was going to do only a double full, but I just got word that she actually is doing the 2.5 here.
We haven't seen her train it at all.
She also is starting, from what I've heard, is too far back. You're only allowed 20 meters. And she, you know what? When things are toughest, she's toughest. if Jordan Weber had not knocked out that vault, I don't think you would have seen that from Mustafina. But the interesting thing is where she starts. She starts it a little too far back. So this was good, but no question, without a doubt, Jordan Weber's was better.
And in just a few minutes, we'll be talking about why Mustafina is not happy with the fact that Weber is here, let alone scoring higher than her. The fact that she's in a leotard in Jacksonville, Florida, not sitting well with the Russian. Heavy scoring hit delivered by Jordan Weber in the first of 4 rotations that will determine the 2011 AT&T American Cup champion. The women have moved over to the vault, the women to the uneven bars, the men to the vault, and right now Jordan Weber has a nice lead over Alia Mustafina of Russia, 0.267. And the United States has it 1-3 with Raisman. And we've got some familiar faces from the year of 1996 when they were the Magnificent Seven. Amy Chow, Carrie Strug, Dominique Dawes, Shannon Miller, Dominique Molciano, Amy Phelps, and Amanda Borden. Dominique Dawes did not make it here to Jacksonville, Florida, but this is a group that inspired a country. There's no question about that, with the most famous sprained ankle in the history of the Olympics.
Yes, it was.
Hold the flowers down, right? Yeah.
Unbelievable. Remember it like it was yesterday. Amanda is at the front of the line, and then you got Amy Chow, Shannon Miller.
Have we seen a really good look at Dominique Molciano's dress yet?
Yeah.
She was always sparkly.
Yeah, that's it.
JC
And there,
Phelps.
of course, J.C. Phelps, and of course.
Carrie. Hello, Carrie.
I actually had the chance to do Good Morning Jacksonville with J.C. Phelps this morning. It was good to see her and catch up.
And what kind of things did she ask you?
She didn't ask me anything. She said, because they introduced me as an Olympic gold medalist, and they had some footage, and actually they had color footage, and I said that's very rare because most of it's in black and white.
Tim, you've used that line an awful lot. You're going to need some new material. Alia Mustafina. She's looking up at that video, and she's looking up, and she looks like it makes her mad.
Yeah, well, I remember like it was yesterday, Svetlana Horkina getting a silver medal and going back and literally ripping it off her neck and throwing it into her bag.
Yelling at her teammates.
She wanted nothing to do with silver in Atlanta in 1996, but this team, they outperformed. That's all there is to it. They were the best on the floor that day.
Amy Chow. Shannon Miller.
Shannon, what a
Dominique Molciano.
unbelievable gymnast. So many titles.
Phelps. And Carrie Strug.
Remember Bella carrying her up to the podium for the national anthem?
Today's event. Ladies, thank you, and
It looked like it was a little scripted.
Gymnastics theater.
Gold medal champion, 1996 Olympic
With Bella in the lead. Jordan Weber is 15 now, so that's right about the birthday.
She was 1.
She's got to be thinking, I wonder if that could be me, doesn't she?
Oh, without a doubt. And it could be.
And there you go. Jordan Weber with Mustafina right next to her. We're with you for a few more minutes here on Universal Sports. Then we'll switch live to NBC Sports. And one of the first things that we'll deal with there is the situation that allowed Weber to be here and represent the United States in this American Cup to the displeasure of the Russian contingent. And the United States is 1-3 right now with Alexandra Raisman. And something else that will tell you is the unique relationship that she has with that 1996 team. And if you do the math, you say, wait a minute, how is it possible? Andrea Joyce will have that story coming up on NBC. And you know what's funny, when you bring up Svetlana Hortina and you talk about Mustafina, aren't they sort of cut from the same mold?
They are. Exactly.
That's why she's a champion already. She has this ability. She just does not care what's happening around her. It's all about her.
And this is the big challenge for Allie. Uneven bars is not her strength.
But she does come to the American Cup with all new routines, upgraded.
Her coach, Mihai, says they just don't have time. They can't train twice a day. He said, you can't do that in Massachusetts. It's not like Texas. I don't know exactly what he meant by that, but that's what he said. Just doesn't have the lightness that you're going to see from some of the other athletes. But a very strong exercise from Allie. She really can't do better than that. But you'll see in a few minutes.
Good job. Good.
Hopefully see the Chinese on NBC and also Mustafina. But it's just a little bit of a different league.
To the vault and the men, Daniel Purvis.
Beautiful vaulter as well. And he was so off.
Oh dear, he has had a rough day.
Yeah, that's smart.
His hand, his knees, his legs, his abdomen.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the nicest looking vaulters.
Well, he is going to go home one wounded hombre.
Oh, and remember, this is a qualification for him for the European Championships as well.
But watch, as he hits the table, his shoulder angle breaks a lot. And what that does is it doesn't give him the bounce off the table that he needs. And there's nowhere near enough rotation. He could have, you know, his finger, it certainly is killing him. And, you know, you just kind of hold back a little bit. You don't smash that table like you would typically do. Ouch.
So we are about to update our coverage with scores as we get them. Purvis gets a 14.70. Jordan Weber of the United States has the lead. She's coming up in moments on the uneven bars. And we'll also see Mustafina of Russia a little bit later. So as we get set to say goodbye on Universal Sports with the Russian in second place, we remind you that we're switching to NBC and we will update everything that happens between now and then. Allie Raisman gets a 13.9. We'll see where that fits in as the other scores come our way. For now, on Universal Sports with Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Andrea Joyce, I'm Al Trautwig, inviting you to make the switch to NBC at the top of the hour from Jacksonville. NBC Sports presents the 2011 AT&T American Cup, the most important annual international gymnastics event on American soil. Today we're on the northeast coast of Jacksonville, Florida, the Sunshine State's largest city. Come on inside to the Jacksonville Veterans Memorial Coliseum, where 16 of the best gymnasts in the world have come together to decide an all-around champion in a tradition that goes back to 1976. A couple of years ago, at the age of 13, Jordan Weber, in the first major event after the Beijing Olympics, won this American Cup. And now, after one rotation, she has the lead, and with some controversy, is part of this field. We'll get to that later. On the vault, she rocked it. This is Al Trautwig, Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Andrea Joyce. What did you see?
It was phenomenal. This vault, the hardest being done in the competition and the best performed by far.
Doesn't get any better than that. What a start.
So the standings after round one put Jordan Weber right at the top. She's 15, which is a perfect age considering the Olympics are a year away. Her lead over Mustafina of Russia, who's a little bit of a diva, as Tim Daggett and Elfie Schlegel will explain, and then another American.
And Mustafina, she is the reigning queen of gymnastics. She won the all-around title at the 2010 10 world championships, and the primary reason was because of her vaulting. She had that same vault that we just saw from Jordan Weber.
She is artistic. She has the skills, but so does this young lady. Much improved, especially here on the uneven bars.
And watch these two skills. I've never seen this performed by a woman before.
Very
They're
cool.
called Weiler kips. Kind of men's gymnastics. That's, you know, where everything started. Here's her first release, major. Oh gosh. And that right there. That's catastrophic.
The full point deduction.
And so uncharacteristic for Jordan Weber. Wow. Frankly, I don't know why she missed the bar. She was close enough. You know, maybe sometimes what can happen is you're thinking a little bit ahead and you haven't finished the element completely. Big dismount.
Beautiful.
Well, let's say this, Tim. The Olympics is always the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Moments ago, they just introduced the 1996 gold medal winning team. Then about a minute and a half ago, they said loudly, we're coming on live on NBC, and she's standing there waiting to go. And you throw all that together, and it's a cauldron of pressure.
This is her first senior competition, the official.
So she does this in combination. She'll do this major release. It's called a reverse hecht. And frankly, her hands,
she was there.
Yeah, but just not quite all the way around the bar. A little far, but geez, she should have been able to hold on to that.
I think so.
Like I said, sometimes you're thinking, I've already got it, and you're already on to the next move, and disaster can strike. That was a disaster.
Now this is Jake Dalton of the United States. There was an injury. They needed someone in their American backyard, and the 19-year-old was brought in from Oklahoma. After the first rotation, he was the leader. He killed it on the floor exercise. And he went to the pommel horse where everybody had a disaster. And he fell all the way to last.
He's going to murder this one. Very nice ball, super hard. I believe that is the highest start score that we will see from any gymnast in the competition on the men's side.
Well, Jake's strengths are floor exercise, vaulting, the power events. That's what he's known for.
Weber got a 13.9 on the uneven bars. Of course, the Russians look at the Magnificent Seven from 1996 with knives in their eyes. They remember that as a defeat. And look at the demeanor of Mustafina. She wants to change that. We go to our New York studio for the U.S. Bank NBC Sports Report and Peter Alexander.
On ball, the score for Jake Dalton of the USA, 16.066. This concludes competition in the first half of rotation 4. Gymnasts participating in the second half may now begin the warm-up.